Sure, Sam. I was wondering first if you could maybe give us an update. Did y'all get a clean bill of health yesterday's testing? And do you think everyone that missed the LSU game will be back for this week?
Uh, we anticipate having a close to full roster. Our testing went well yesterday, and between injuries that we had and the COVID, we feel like we're going to be pretty close to full speed.
Scotty?
Yeah, Coach, I was wondering if you had an update on Bo Limmer and Noah Gatlin, if those guys might be able to be back for you this week too.
I think Bo's doing well. We still are yet to find out on Noah. He is getting some tests right now, and we'll see if he'll be available or not. But we feel pretty good on Bo.
Tom?
You had two players that get national type award stuff today. Grant Morgan's a Butkus Award semifinalist, and Traylon Burks got added to the Bolitnikoff list. I'm just wondering if you could comment about those two guys and the kind of seasons they've had.
Well, obviously, both of them's had good seasons to get on that list. The other thing about that is winning a little bit helps you get recognition to get on those lists. So every individual award, in my opinion, comes with a strong background of team involved with it too. So, but they both played well. We've talked about them a lot. They've both done a nice job, and we're proud of them and happy for them that they received that recognition.
Bob?
Hey, Sam, if I remember correctly, the team was going to get back yesterday and you were going to meet with them. Just wondering if you met with them, what was everybody's mindset after getting some quality time off? Just kind of how do you feel? Feel like the guys are all pretty refreshed and everything?
Well, anytime that you leave campus, then you have to have a negative COVID test result before you can meet with them. So they tested last night, got the results back this morning. And so we did not meet with them last night, but this will be just we were able to do some walkthroughs, some meetings last week with the anticipation of play in Missouri. And now we're just going to have a regular week, Monday through, in preparation for Missouri.
Dudley?
Hey, Coach, talk to the commits over the weekend. It looks like most of them are going to sign early. How big a positive is that? And also that, several of them are going to be able to be here in January.
Well, I think anytime that you have early signing date, and obviously you like who you have or you wouldn't have accepted their commitment, it's big to get it early. It's big to get it in December. Once you get them on the dotted line, then you can go for, well, are we going to save some of these for some transfers? Are we going to continue to chase after another position? You know what I mean? Another guy at the same position. We obviously like who we have. And so we hope, like I'm sure everybody who has commitments, that they will sign on December 16th, I believe it is. I may be wrong there, but I think it's the 16th, first Wednesday, or the December 16th, I think is when it is. But anyway, we're certainly hoping that we can get that class figured out, and then we, potentially have several guys coming in January, and that would be huge for spring ball, assuming that we'll be able to have spring ball.
Appreciate it.
Nikki?
Coach, you said you expect close to a full roster back, but those guys in quarantine and stuff, how do you expect them to be physically with their conditioning? Is that a worry factor for you or not very much?
Not really. Quarantine now is a little bit different than what it was before, Nikki, and that they can get some individualized workouts. Before they weren't able to do that. Now they can. So to be honest with you, we've been dealing with it all year. So just a few more now, obviously, but I think we'll be okay. We're going to do business as usual this week. And if I feel like at the end of practice we haven't had a spirited practice or that we need a little bit more conditioning, we'll get that in early in the week. But I'm certainly not anticipating that. I'm anticipating the guys have done enough to be able to play hard for obviously 60 minutes.
Trey Biddy.
Yeah, Coach, seems like every other week there's some kind of underlying storyline with the game, and this one obviously with Barry Odom returning to Columbia. Just curious about, I know you prepare equally for every game, but any underlying extra meaning for Coach and also Sam Carter and Brad Davis, and I guess there's probably a benefit in knowing personnel too.
Well, I think there's a benefit from those guys because they know the personnel. I've also been playing Missouri now for a long time. And so we think we've got a pretty good handle of who they've had, at least in the past. Missouri is our crossover game. So obviously we play them every single year, and they've had the best of us, at least for the past 4 years. And so we're going to try our best, like we would each and every game, to try to stop that. But certainly they're playing top-notch football right now, well coached and physical, and they're going to try to bully us on offense. And on defense, they have an exceptional D-line and probably the greatest linebacker, at least one of them in the country, in Bolton. So they certainly are a good football team. They're playing at, they're peaking right now at the right time. I have a lot of respect for them, but to be honest with you, they're our crossover rival, and that's a big deal to us.
Let me know if you've got more questions in the chat. Hutch.
Sam, Grant specifically, I know you touched on him earlier, but he's not the biggest linebacker or the fastest linebacker, but he leads the country in tackles and has done a lot of other good things for you. What is it that makes him so good for y'all's defense?
Well, he's slippery. He slips blocks a lot. He plays extremely hard. He's, very prepared when he goes into a game. He spends a lot of time in the film room and a lot of time with his coaches getting prepared for the game. He tries to play the game before it happens. He tries to see his tendencies and things of that nature before it happens. And he's just a very intelligent guy that loves to play. Walked on here. He loves to wear the Arkansas across his chest and it plays extremely hard. And that's it. He's smart, plays hard, and well prepared.
Tom.
Sorry, Sam, this might be a little repetitive, but you got a chance on Saturday to just watch their game. And so latest impressions of what you think of Missouri and why they seem to be firing on all cylinders right now.
Well, I also watched the game film when I got back too, but well, they're a big physical team. I mean, they're not a complicated offense, even though it can be complicated because everything that looks the same is different, whether they run a good RPO system. They have exactly what they need. They've got a great back in Roundtree, a really good quarterback in Basilick, and then they've got a great slot. So on offense, big line, guy you can hand it to, guy you can throw it to, and more. And then on defense, they've always had really good defensive linemen. And I think last year when I was at Georgia, I think Bolton had about 20 tackles on us last year. So maybe we can cut that down to at least 19 or something. He had a great game last year against us over there at Georgia. But I think right now they're believing in Coach Drinkwitz and what he's getting done, and he's a fine man, fine coach, and they've got a good coaching staff. So I think they're peaking at the right time just because of their belief and how hard they play.
Bob.
Sam, we talk a lot about your coaches from Mizzou, but I think people may have forgotten 20 years ago you're at Missouri yourself. I know that wasn't a great year for the Tigers, unfortunately, but just wondered what you remember about your time there and just your thoughts on the program, historically.
Good people, a lot of tradition. Um, they've done a lot with their facilities. Columbia, Missouri is a great place to live. Didn't live there very long, but enjoyed my time. And I was a high school coach in the state of Missouri at Princeton, Missouri, and Trenton, Missouri, and I'd have the opportunity to go down and watch the Tigers play when I was coaching high school ball there, and it was a thrill of mine, and being able to coach there was a thrill of mine as well. But certainly fond memories of Columbia and the Missouri Tigers from the year I was there.
All right, let me know if you've got more questions. Nikki?
Coach, to start the season, Myron Cunningham's name was being brought up as, potential draft picks. So I've seen his grades go up, but what have you thought about his performance and progress over last season? And, what are your chances of potentially getting him back for another year?
Well, I've been really proud of him. He's playing better. Obviously, I think if we could keep him another year, we could really up his draft stock even higher. We'll get the results back from the scouts, and if it says you need to go to the NFL, then that's what we'd encourage him to do. If it says go back to school, then we would certainly encourage that. I don't know right now what he'd like to do, but I know he has improved his draft stock this year, and a lot of it is because of his size too. He's gotten much bigger and can handle bull rushes better and things of that nature. But I believe he's gotten better. I believe if he came back, he'd get a lot better. And if he gets a draftable grade, then we'll certainly wish him well on the way out the door.
Bob?
Sam, Roundtree, I think he set Mizzou's record for rushing yards by a running back. I think one of their quarterbacks from a while back has the record. But what do you think about him? He seems like a pretty physical back.
He is. I mean, I think if you look at Roundtree, I think the first thing you think about is how hard he runs and how many tackles he breaks. I think they're pretty much locked in with their O-line and him. I mean, they're a physical offensive line. They like to play through the whistle, and he's the same way. I think they really complement each other, his O-line and him, but he's really having a good season, and I have a lot of respect for the way that he plays the game.
Tom?
We've talked in general about the guys you've got coming back, but on the defensive line specifically, how important is it? Do you feel like most of them will be back? And in retrospect, how big of a performance was that from Jonathan Nichols, all the snaps he got? Jonathan Marshall, how many snaps he got in the last game?
Well, if you'd ask him, I think he wished he didn't play quite as many snaps, but he doesn't complain. He doesn't say much. He just goes out there and plays hard. But obviously, I think besides Jonathan, maybe our top 5 or 6 D linemen weren't able to play, and we think we're going to be able to get them all back, assuming, we have 2 more tests, but assuming all that goes well. And I think that's big. Obviously we need more size on the field and things of that nature. And the guys who got to play are going to be better players when their number's called again.
Hey, Biddy?
Yeah, Coach, how did the bye week go when you guys found out, I guess, a week ago? Did you guys treat it like a regular bye week, get some work for young people? I don't even know how many players you had available.
Well, we didn't, Trey. I'm probably in the minority here, but I believe if you don't have enough to play, you probably don't have enough to practice. And we didn't have enough to play. Now we could have put a couple scrimmage together or something of that nature. We just thought at that point it was going to be much better to use it mentally and physically trying to get healthy. And so ours were all walkthroughs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday along with tape.
Nikki?
Coach, along the same lines of my other question, Rakeem Boyd, he came back hoping to improve his stock further, and he had to miss a couple games and just overall just not as good of a stat season for him as last year. Have you had conversations with him? It must, be tough on him to have, some disappointments this season when he was hoping to have a really big one.
Well, there's still 3 games left, and so he can certainly improve his numbers in the next 3 games if he goes out and plays well and they block well for him. I'm sure it's not ideal for him. We talk to him and all the other guys quite often, and he knows that he can do something about that as well himself, and we can certainly block better for him and do some things of that nature. But sometimes as a back, you just have to, at times you have to go make your own way. And he was getting better at that, had a pretty good game against A&M and certainly, obviously couldn't play against LSU, but we anticipate he'll be back and healthy and ready to roll.
2 more. Bob?
Sam, you mentioned Eli Drinkwitz. I was wondering how well you know each other, and he's obviously an Arkansas native. Just wondering what you know about him, and do you guys know each other very well personally? Had much interaction?
I'm getting to know him better. I have a lot of respect for him, and we text back and forth at different times. I think he made public that he texted me at 11:45 last Monday night, which he did. Whenever we had to cancel and they got a new one, he just wanted to make sure that I was up since he had to be, and I thought it was funny. But I have a lot of respect for him. I didn't know him until obviously this year, and being head coaches, we get a chance to talk to a lot of head coaches during the season, and he's one that I've certainly taken a liking to and a friendship with.
Last one, Hutch.
Sam, I noticed that you mentioned 3 games left. I guess that includes a bowl game. Do you feel confident that y'all have done enough to earn a spot in a bowl?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we won 3 SEC games. I think anytime you win 3 SEC games and you're scheduled right in the preseason, that's equals anywhere from 6 to 7, and absolutely. And I think we will. I think we deserve it.
All right, that'll wrap us up. Thanks, Coach.